Good morning, everybody, and a happy Tuesday to you all. Welcome to Thrive, Not Just Survive. I'm your host, Nasira Jamal. Today, I have a very special guest on. All of my guests are special, and you know you're all dear to my heart. But today, I have somebody who I share something very powerful with, and we're going to talk about it. But before we even do that, I wanted to bring Yvonne on because she has a very powerful story. As women entrepreneurs, we all have a story, and somehow, some way, we've gotten to be doing things and sharing our genius with the world. But this lady is something else. She's so powerful, and the way she deals with her clients and the empowered state she leaves them in is just awe-inspiring. So let's get this conversation started as I introduce to you Yvonne Silver. Hey, Yvonne, welcome to the show. I'm so grateful that you're here.
Good morning, Nazira. Hi, everybody.
Awesome. So before we start, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, sort of how this whole thing started in your journey?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for the invitation. You are doing some amazing work out there in the world, and I always appreciate connecting with other vibrant, visionary women. So
Thank you.
my role is to support women to flourish in business, and I do that by hinging on my background, which is 30 years plus working in business. And I got started particularly in this area of working with women. Hi, Marilee. Working with women. After growing up in England with post-war, my father was very controlling. He had PTSD, and he literally drained the life right out of my mum. And so I watched her become this empty shell, diminished by his anger. I mean, I thought he was just mean, but he was actually very sick with PTSD that didn't get treated. And I watched him literally take the car keys, take her power away, and she never spoke up and she never pushed back. And it was just so sad. And I swore I was never going to be like that. And growing up, I fought for everything until I was about 45, and then realized that all this fighting, I had put the shield of protection up because I didn't want to be treated like that. And it was actually keeping other people out as well as protecting me. And it was time to put the shield down. So the book behind me, Words, Women and Wisdom, The Modern Art of Confident Conversations, came about by having that on my bucket list that I wanted to write a best-selling book, and then thinking through, what do I share now with my clients, having gone through a 15-year HR career, and then ended up taking with a passion for personal development, taking a executive coach course. That was 10 years ago now. I realized that a lot of the work that I'm doing is with women who are coming to me saying, I need more confidence. How do I have more confidence? How can I have more confident conversations? And I started sharing the same concepts with them over and over again. So it was time to put that into a book, and it's been incredibly successful since. So I speak a lot about this topic of confidence and confident communications.
That's amazing. I mean, I think for a lot of women, especially women, they live sort of in the shadows of what they think they're supposed to be a lot of times, or who they're supposed to be, and not really find their own light. And sometimes, or I found anyways, it's later in life that they come to this and saying, I want to find it. I want to be that version of me that I feel that's stuck inside, right? And working with somebody like you who can help them in the first layer, which is build up that confidence, right? Is to feel that your own voice is strong enough, that you don't have to emulate somebody else's vision or another person's vision of you, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is so powerful when we can give women back their own power.
Absolutely. And there is another piece to it, which is, my dad was very mean. And then when I flunked, in England, they have had this two-layer system where the smart kids went to grammar school, the not so smart kids went to secondary school. And I flunked that exam at age 11 by 2 marks. And my dad was absolutely furious at me. And when the envelope came in the mail, I remember standing in the hall with him, and he literally opened the envelope, eyes went black, faces red, and he looked at it and said, "You failed. You'll never ever be successful in life." I'm just going into high school. Thanks, Dad. So, I mean, that did have an impact. It wasn't just watching my mom, it was the impact it had personally on me with, his anger and this energy then that became, well, I'm going to done, we'll prove you wrong. And this energy of striving, which is, of course, a very male energy. And it was not in alignment with who I am as a person. And eventually that all sort of came to a head. So that's part of the work I do now as well, is, how do women show up as strong leaders in their feminine energy, not just, wearing a man's suit and, a navy jacket and a white shirt and looking like a politician. How do we show strength and do it in an authentic way?
And that's something that's so beautiful, I think, in terms of finding that authenticity. Like, we don't have to be, like I said, something else what somebody else has in store for us, or what they think about us. And in your case, I mean, with your schooling, you sort of made a vow that I'm going to prove you wrong. For a lot of others, it may have actually put them back in their shell to say, well, I'm not good enough. And, and it can go either way, right? Depending on where you are emotionally and what other things are going on. The whole idea here is, though, getting empowered by being around other women who have taken that journey, who are inspiring others because of their own journeys, right? And so we can teach from that place of experience to say,
Absolutely.
this is what our story is, and this is why and how we became to do what we're doing. And so this is why I'm so excited to talk to you, because you just amaze me. Really, I've been so blessed that I met you through an amazing course that we took back in, I want to say April, but I believe it was May. I keep saying April, but it was in May where we actually made our connection, and we began something that was really powerful. So can you share some light on that journey and how that's helped you in your business?
Absolutely. So meeting some incredible women, in particular, because I focus my relationships on women, through the bank iOS Six Intelligence's coach training certification. So when I first heard about Bank through Stephanie, who's the training director, I was really intrigued because so much of my work is around communications. This is an amazing tool to actually solidify more effective communications by understanding personality styles, which I do a lot of that kind of work already in the work I do with women, different assessment tools, trained in emotional intelligence as well. So it seemed like a very natural fit. And from a timing standpoint, I thought that, while the world is on hold, right? Because this is early March when I heard about it, everything was sort of blowing up. I thought, I'm not going to wait for feedback to find out whether or not the current coaching clients that I thought I was going to start working with are in fact going forwards, because there's so many things going on hold right now. I'm just going to choose to reinvest in myself, and I'm going to come out stronger because of it. And what I realized going through the program was how applicable it is for small business, for starters. And then secondly, how easy some of these tools are to use. And I love the artificial intelligence tool. I love the fact that I can, take some copy and pop it in, and it'll tell me someone's code right away. I mean, that is phenomenal. So that's a really
Phenomenal.
good
So let's sort of give our audience, for those that are joining, I mean, we've got live, we also have people on replay. They may not even really understand this whole personality coding. So let's talk about it just briefly to give people an overview of why, once you know somebody's personality code, how that could really change that conversation. And not from our perspective, because we have our own codes, but it's really from the perspective of the person in front of us. So just sort of shed some light on that whole idea of personality coding.
Right. So the personality coding piece, I mean, it dates back to Hippocrates, who was a Greek physician, and ended up identifying very quickly that he was treating different people with 4 different methodologies, and it was being very successful to actually treat people medicine, with ancient medicine, and then realizing as the years went by that there was actually some value in categorizing people into 4 different types of personalities. And then eventually we move into things like DISC and Myers-Briggs and a lot of the personality psychology based tools that we have available today. However, the tool that we're using and we're talking about with Bank, Bank actually stands for, it's an acronym that stands for the 4 primary personality types. So if I look at these 4 little cards, because these are my sort of cheat cards, B is for blueprint, A is for action, N is for nurture, and K is for knowledge. So those 4 personality styles are very, very different. So with Bank, it's not based on psychology, it's based on what Sherry Tree, the founder, calls biology. So it's the science of buying, which of course, as we know, is all about influence. People don't buy from people they don't know, like, and trust. So if we look at a blueprint personality, for example, which is the blue category, it's all about a very traditional mindset that hates risk. So systems, planning, structure, processes, predictability. If you don't give them the details behind what you're telling them, then they're not going to be able to assess whether or not it's risky, it's risk averse, that it'll help them to still look good and they can understand how it fits into their budget. So they're very traditional. Whereas an action personality, which is the red one, and I heard you talk about this the other day, they like the red carpet treatment. And they're very much into spontaneity and opportunity and go, 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 Red Bull on steroids. So they're all about winning and excitement. So if you consider just those 2 out of the 4 personality types, they're very, very different personality types. And so they want information delivered in different ways. If you try and have a communication with an action person, a red person who is interested in the outcomes, and give them all the bullets, all the details, all the steps, all the processes, their eyes are going to roll over and they're going to doze off.
Yep.
So it's really fascinating. I find it really intriguing to know how I can use this now in my business to be communicating more effectively, and also sharing it now with my clients and having them actually take this 90-second test. It's literally 90 seconds. Here's the link, here's the code, pop this in, organize these cards, which you see on the screen, into the order in which they resonate for you. And then you'll be able to know what your 4-digit code is. So mine is a NAKB, so nurturer first, then an action, then a knowledge, and then a blueprint. And I think you're an action first.
I'm an action first and a nurturer second. With my B and K, actually B is next and then K is at the end. So what I want to talk to you about, and you explained this so well in such a quick, concise manner, that really this is the science of buying behavior. And once you can understand your customer, your client, your prospect, even in relationships, your husband, your children, your family members, you are able to connect with them in a much different way, because it's like they will feel like, oh my gosh, she really understands where I'm coming from, or the perspective that I have. And it's about moving them to get them to be able to say yes. And we're not just talking business, because of course we use this as a business tool in our businesses to help us get more yeses, but also in terms of relationships. How do we have that influence on our children, or when we're negotiating things? Once you understand the child's bank code, you're so much better in terms of talking to them in a manner that they will actually resonate with. So I think you've explained it so beautifully, that it's really about understanding what values are attached to each personality type that will move them into that area of saying yes, or being, influenced to a particular, whatever you're talking about, negotiating, perhaps a trip, perhaps bedtime routine for children, or in business, how do you get them in the sales process to say, you know what, your product or service is going to be solving my problem?
Yeah, it's interesting because I had a conversation in the last couple of days with someone, and they were like, this sounds like manipulation. And I thought, it's so opposite to that, because when you know the personality type of the person you're talking to, it's like if I'm French and you're English, we're talking a different language. But if I can share an offering, a service to you in a manner that it resonates, it makes sense, then you have total power over whether you choose that that's something that you want to invest in right now or take advantage of. So it's actually the opposite. And I feel quite blessed that I ran across this, because even within the first few weeks of using these tools, there are several clients that I started working with. I would not have been able to work with without understanding, oh, that's why they keep coming back and asking these questions. That's why they're asking this. That's why they're so concentrated in their questioning around this particular piece of my background or my references, etc.
Right. And I
So
think that's
$10,000 just showed up.
right. And
Yeah.
and that's the beauty of all of this, is when we do learn it and understand it and serve our clients. Because I think we all have to remember, in business, we are out there trying to help our tribes or our avatars, our business clientele with a problem. We are helping them solve a problem or a
Yeah.
couple of problems, right? So if we're able to talk to them in a way so they understand of how your product or service can really help them solve that problem. And this whole methodology is results focused, right? So we're basing it all on the results they're able to accomplish or the transformation that they are able to see. And I think that's why I was really drawn into it, because it was results focused. This was something that could be measured, right?
Yeah.
And that was
Personality.
exactly. And so, this is where, the whole, I think, coaching, sometimes people have a different idea of what coaching is, and some people have taken different types of coaching programs and they haven't really been able to assess, has it really made a difference or been something that was helpful for them. But this one, we actually have assessment tools and advanced assessment tools that can actually show them how much they've moved the needle in the different areas. So let's talk about something that's exciting, which is happening on Thursday, which I'm so thrilled. So I'm going to let you talk about what's happening on Thursday.
So Thursday, we actually have a 4-class masterclass series starting. So it's kicking off on August the 6th, 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And this is going to be an opportunity for anybody who is a guest of ours, invited guest, to understand more about bank. It's typically, this masterclass has a $9.97 value, and it's actually being extended as a complimentary offering to try to help business owners right now move from this potentially survival mode into thriving, by giving them the understanding and the appreciation of how these 6 intelligences in the program that we just took knit together. So it's using the tools, using the technology and the science and the system to showcase what bank is all about. And it's offering them a 30-day trial of the tools that we've been talking about, which are the Bank Pass and the artificial intelligence tools, to actually see what it's all about. I mean, for me, if I can tap into LinkedIn, hit one button, and it'll tell me how their code was formulated, what personality style they are, with the click of one button. I mean, there's so many people that on LinkedIn are using it as a business tool to connect with people. Yeah, then use it to connect with them in a fashion which is going to resonate with them. Don't try and bombard them with detailed information if they're an action personality. And being a primary nurturing personality, I care that what I'm saying makes sense. I care that it lands in a way that resonates for them. And I don't use sales tactics that are all about prospecting and objections, and that's not what it's about. For me, it's about serving instead of selling, actually. And I use a process called appreciative sales kinetics, which is something I talk about in my book, which is about using appreciative inquiry. So instead of showing up and saying, tell me about your biggest challenge, which is very often where sales conversations start, I show up and say, tell me what's working really well in your business, appreciating what's working already, and then how could it be even better? And after hearing that information, then it's much easier for me to come and say, can I share a little bit about what I do? Because I think I can help you get there faster. And then we co-create together a better solution that involves what their goal is and what my services are and how those things knit together. And there's nothing to object to. I don't get objections because we're co-creating. It's fascinating. And bank is a great tool to actually use to have those kinds of conversations.
Absolutely. And I just want to add to this, as people, register for their masterclass, I just want them to understand this is not just theory. This is not just somebody preaching from the other side of the screen. You're actually going to be learning how to implement and start using this stuff in your business right away. It's application. See, what I've learned over my 16 years in sales is when you take action is when the needle moves, right? It's when we begin to sort of get dormant, and then we think, well, it's not working. It's the action that's going to get us going. And so this particular masterclass is designed for implementation and taking action. And that's why the company is offering the $1 trial, which is just totally incredible, because you get to generate as many leads as you can in 30 days for $1 and get to use artificial intelligence and communicate. And you don't have to, obviously you can cancel the subscription. There's no obligation to stick with it. But the idea of trying it out and seeing the impact it can have in your business in 30 days can really help you make the next quarter for your business transform, right? And I think that's why this is such an incredible time to take this masterclass for a lot of people who may have the time to say, you know what, this is when I'm going to start doing things differently so that my next 6 months are different than what I started out with, which we all did, right? You and I took this course because at that point life stopped and it was like, what are we going to do? And we invested in ourselves so that we could better for our businesses and our clients. So I really invite people. I know you have a very special, I'm going to actually share it. You have a phone number that if somebody wanted to register for this class, they can text code to 403-668-9279, and you'll be able to share with them the link to the masterclass. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, this is the precursor to registering, because I think it's really important that if you haven't already taken the bank methodology assessment, the personality assessment, take 20 seconds and invest it in yourself and get your own report first. It's a 20-page report. It'll give you a lot of information about your preferred communication style and the 3 other primary styles. So take that first, which is the invitation here. So text the word code to 403-668-9279, and then you'll get the invitation link to actually do the assessment, and then I will follow up after that to make sure that you get the masterclass invitation, because it is invitation, through us, invitation only. As I said, it's a $9.97 value to be on that masterclass, and I was just fascinated. I mean, A, because I love communications, but secondly, because I could see this is something that is ahead of the curve. This is something new and intriguing that is going to be so useful for my clients, because everybody wants to learn how to communicate more effectively, and we need to do things differently in this new economy that we're in. So any tool that you can get access to for $1 for 30 days to test it out, I mean, why wouldn't you? That's,
Yeah,
that's almost a no-brainer.
As we would say, right? For the knowledge, it's the no-brainer. So I'm so appreciative, that you are here talking with me about it, and you and I share the whole idea of bank, but talking to our clients and making sure they understand their own personality, by cracking their code, getting that 4-digit code, understanding how each code relates to the other, and what certain things happen. It's not just about the primary code. And what we've learned in the course as we've taken it, and now we're certified in coaching this, the iOS bank intelligences, is that all 4 codes matter. And depending on what's going on, certain codes will rise to the top, in terms of the values that show up, especially under stress. And we're all under a lot of stress, different things are going on economically in our families and, in the healthcare systems. I think we need to really be aware of why people are behaving in a certain way, and how can we serve them? As you said, you're there serving your clients in this time as an entrepreneur, right? Of how you can help them grow. So with that being said, I want to just give you sort of the last few minutes as we tie this up. Any parting words that you would have for people watching us?
Well, we talked a lot about business because we're both, successful women entrepreneurs. However, what I was fascinated with in the course was also the impact of having more relevant conversations with children. So there's actually a big section on how to, if your kid is a blueprint kid or an action child, how to have a conversation with them that is more effective, and what the outcomes and what the results were from that as well. So it's a tool that can be used across the board, and it's fascinating. So I did want to extend an invitation. If you're really intrigued by this whole concept of having more powerful language as a woman, in particular, I'm extending the opportunity for a 3-chapter free excerpt from my book, Words, Women and Wisdom, The Modern Art of Confident Conversations. So you can actually go to my website, wordswomenandwisdom.com. Oh, thanks for putting that up on the screen, Nazira. And download, there's a red button there. You can download a copy of the book and figure out from the first 3 chapters, even out of the 40 different words and word concepts in the book, which ones might be the ones that make the biggest difference for you. And even taking out a word like just, oh, I just wanted to XYZ. It sounds like you're apologizing for something. One word difference can make a massive impact. And that's, again, part of the reason that I'm so intrigued by what we can do with massaging language and using it more effectively, using the values more effectively for bank.
Thank you for sharing that. And, for those of you that want to get the 3-chapter expert, just have to go into the website to get that. Can they also connect with you from your website? Like, is there a way to maybe, if they wanted to have a chat with you about something regarding that, would they be able to connect with you on your website?
Yeah, there's actually a connect tab, and you can go in there and just shoot me a note through the website and reach out. Feel free to reach out through the link for the book, and I'll get to see who's picking up a copy of that anyways, and you'll be invited to join the Women in Wisdom VIP community just by downloading a copy of that book, and then you'll get all the updates of what I'm up to with new programs for my clients, with the radio show that I host, the podcast that I host, and who upcoming guests are. And Nazira is a guest of mine as well. So we're doing some reciprocal trading, and it's beautiful because it's all about collaborative conversations.
Absolutely. And you know what? I know we didn't talk about, like, there's just so much that I wanted to address, like the podcast, the radio show, the stuff that you're doing is so powerful that I'll have to have you back on again. And so we can continue the conversation. But I want to thank you today for taking the time and sharing your light with me.
Thank you, Nazira, for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to connect with other women who have a passion for helping others to flourish in business. And that's a common denominator for both of us.
And I'm going to be seeing you in the masterclass on starting this Thursday. So again, invitation to everybody that's watching, even if you're on replay, make sure you, I'll put that up again. If you want to text code to 403-668-9279, you'll be able to crack your own code and also get the link for the masterclass. If you need to connect with either one of us, please private message us. We're here to help. We're here to have these amazing conversations that can really help you. So thank you, Yvonne. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Nazira. And people can also connect through Facebook or LinkedIn with me as well. So.
Perfect. Awesome. I wish you a wonderful week, and I'll see you on Thursday night.
See you then. Thanks, Nazira. Bye for now.
So that was, Yvonne Silver. And if you're interested, in terms of just having a quick chat with her, or, you want to read those first 3 chapters of her book, I highly suggest that you get onto her website, download the first 3 chapters so that you can actually get a taste of how powerful the book is, plus the information that can help you right away. Again, I would like to invite you to the masterclass. You can reach out to me. I'll be happy to send you a private link. Remember, this is by invitation only. It's a $9.97 value for the masterclass, offered to you for free, because we feel this is the time that you could use something to change how the next 6 months are going to unfold for you. So with that being said, I want to remind you to be kind to yourself and to others, and I'll see you tomorrow with another very powerful guest. See you then.